Hello and welcome to yet another cast. For you today I have a custom 4v4 played on the map Selkie Isle. Don't think I featured this map before, but I'm gonna get into that after player introductions. We have Team 1 up here on the top, Team 2 down here on the bottom, and let's introduce the players. On the westernmost node for Team 1 on this beach, we have Bapalu in Burgundy Red, going Cypher and opening first land. Then on the other beach slot in orange and going Aeon, and also opening first land, we have Bark. Then to the east of that in the air slot, for the pack here, in Piss Yellow, we have To the Moon, going Seraphim and also opening first land. Questioning if they are air in chat. I guess they haven't played Selkie that much. And to the south of that in yellow, going UEF and opening first land, we have Vitamin D Enjoyer. Vitamin D Enjoyer, sorry. As pronounced vitamin in English. But who doesn't enjoy some vitamin D? I do when I actually bother to go outside once in a blue moon. Or something like that. Is that how the saying goes? Anyway. Every time, once I actually do bother to go outside, I do enjoy the vitamin D. In my vitamin D deficient state that I have just sitting inside doing stuff. Anyway, for this other team, in this fecal brown going Seraphim opening first land, we have Icononics. Yeah, I think that's what that says. Icon. That's now Icon. Anyway, to the west of that in grey, going Seraphim and opening first land, we have Knorrachi. Let's go with Knorrachi. And to the west of that, in dark blue, going Aeon and opening first land, second air, we have McNeil. And last but not least, to the north of that, in Seraphim opening first land, or going Seraphim opening first land in red, we have Front Color. Right, so, about the map, Selkie Isle. You have these, well, almost half spherical sides here, split around the middle, or split around with the ponds. You have mid-islands, some expansion islands. What you usually see is that the player on the slot right here, so the second beach slot, goes for the middle land. And that's exactly what you can see right here with Knorrachi going there. Also now that movement coming out from Bark. What you would usually also see is that the player on this beach slot moves the commander up here and establishes a forward base with some factories to pressure this player. On this slot, I think that would be the eco slot. But with that land pressure, that makes it a bit harder. However, there is currently no such action coming out from Bapalu. And also no, by the looks of it, no real intention to do that from Iconics, whatever. Icononics, god, that name is, yeah, I'm gonna stick with Icon. Now, another unusual thing is that we did get a oil transport out from McNeil, who just dropped off some engineers on the island, on the mid as well. I don't usually see that often, though these players are all... Well, to be fair, that is the general rating range in which I would play as the lower rated player, or as lower rated player. So yeah, either it's a new meta or that developed on the map because I haven't played Selkie in quite some time, or it's just different playstyle. Or even another alternative. It's just players who don't play Selkie that much. Which is also completely valid, you don't have to play every map. Now, an NG was sent out from Bapalu trying to grab these two frigate wrecks. Though that did get shot down by the SU of Front Color. I think that the wrecks that were placed down here were actually picked up by Icon right here with that NG. So they were sneakily a bit faster, able to actually get that. Meaning that all those frigates will actually go for to the hands of the southern team, reclaim-wise. Now, Bapalu also getting into that middle, onto the middle island with that ACU. Also already queuing up a factory to get some spam out, I guess. It'd be interesting to see. And naval production, by the looks of it, started from front color. That's front color, not front color. Sorry about that. As many casters are, I am prone to mispronouncing names. I know that some casters are worse with that, some are better. Wouldn't be surprised if I'm on the worst side of that. And I'm horribly sorry about that, but just can't help it. Now, on the northern side, that's not land production, that's naval production, also start up from Palu. And out from Vitamin D and Joyo. With currently only one factory out, by the looks of it, from Icon, who was given some cyber tech. Filthy tech sharing. Especially this early on. It's just really filthy going for tech sharing and then this early on. Seraphim apparently also given to Knarachi, who is going for Seraphim factory first instead of Cyprin one. Another Cyprin out for front color. Come on, if you play Seraphim, even if you are on random, just go with it, just still play fucking Seraphim. You don't always need to go for Cyprin if you are another faction. A Seraphim Navy has some sort of stuff as well. Though we will definitely get back to that at a later stage of the game, you will probably understand why, and I will point it out specifically. But yes. I do quite dislike tech sharing nowadays, since, well, I get it when you're inheriting bases and stuff like that, that's always good and fine, but come on. If you're already playing Cyprin, might as well just stick with it. Or Seraphim or whatever. Just stick with your faction. The factions are somewhat balanced. And they also all have their somewhat balanced utility in their respective fields. I know that some are better in some regards, but that is generally balanced out with the availability of other stuff in tech. T2 Cyprin already on the way for front color. Currently no further naval production out from Icon, who just went for 2 submarines. And a whole bunch of Cyprin factories now coming out from Knarachi. Now, there is some slight fighting going on up here between front color and Bapalu. Bapalu did go for quite a few, both players actually did go for quite a few submarines. But due to the fact that the Cyprin frigate is a bit better than the other ones, might win. Never mind, that did actually take a lot of damage, so it might lose. Does have a lower range nowadays than the Seraphim one. Could be as a way of balancing it. I do remember Tritons being basically just the best frigate for quite some time. I think that was also partially down to range and DPS, but not that might have been rebalanced since then. As balance is a ever-changing thing on FAF. Which is honestly quite a good thing, as it keeps the game fresh to some extent. And that's something that's really hard to achieve with a, well, coming over 15-year-old game now. I'm too lazy to actually do the proper math for that, but yeah, the game is old at this stage. And yet, here I still am, here you all are still watching, so the FAF developers must be doing something right if it keeps all of us hooked. Now, tech-wise, T3 Air is currently on the way for McNeil. around 60%. T3 Air just started to the moon, who did however go for 2 Nothers. Let's see how will those being utilized. It's all cute to move into the Bay Area down here. I don't see too much AA that could be defending against that. There is some T1 AA, but that's generally not too great against Nothers or general fighter bombers. It will slowly kill that stuff off, but not that fast. At 1k HP that does take some time. Now T2 Navy is out for Knorchi. T2 Navy. There is T2 Cypern now also coming out from front collar. And no T2 Navy currently from northern team by looks of it. Never mind, there is a T2 Navy factory out from Vitamin D Enjoyer. And currently T2 going up for icon on that Cypern factory that was furtherly gifted over. What we do however have is a whole bunch of harbor production coming out from Bark. Now, Bark apparently not interested in going for a factory investment on this side, on this middle island. Which, I mean, you do have the longer reinforcement times due to getting all that in from the mainland and the drawbacks from going for hover when it comes to the T2 station and stuff like that. But you have the advantage that you don't have the risk of losing your production once the island falls, if it does fall. And right now there is only some T1 out from the southern team on the middle island, so those places are actually really effective. The other plus side being, those places can also just be used in the Navy. And since there's currently no naval production out from Bark, that could be exactly what's happening. Hint, hint, some foreshadowing. Some submarine hunters coming out from front collar. I guess one reason to actually want the other tanks since Surfing does not get sub-hunters. Still, I don't think it's really that... I mean, I really don't think it's even worth it, but also don't think it's that great of a move still, because it will be annoying for your opponent and it won't give you too much of an advantage. And though, to be fair, if they should be facing hover, then the sub-hunters won't be worth too much, and, well, Cypern destroyers aren't too great against hover. They will kill it, but Seraphim destroyers are generally a lot better since they have that beam weapon, which is really good against spammable units like hover. And now Middle Island slowly being cleared up by the hover spam. The advantage of being T2 with that 1.1k HP compared to, let's look at Mantis, 270. That's a big difference. And also, of course, the higher range and higher DPS gonna play into that as well. They are pushing forward, just tanking that PD fire. Fair enough, since they can't outrange PD. And else just the main battle tank. I think you need to get to T3 to actually outrange T1 PD. Though I could be talking absolute nonsense again. Wouldn't be the first time. Let's just check for a second what the range on that on those is. We're looking at 24 range, and if we look at some T1 PD, let's go back down here to see what's going on. It's 26 range, so T1 PD does slightly outrange the Blaze. Though I just remembered that Mongoose and Hoplites are still a thing, and those definitely do outrange T1 PD. So there are some T2 direct fire units that do outrange the T1 PD. But that's the minority. Now BD was tried to be built up, but this just large amount of places quickly taking that out and also quickly killing off all these entries means that that won't be doing too much. And with that, the side end is basically completely wiped. Though there is some T2 Navy, some Silems now out, that will be useful in defending. Those will definitely provide to be, or prove to be, quite effective. You can already see damage being pumped into these places, taking a lot of fire. But the accuracy on the cellular being everything but perfect. Just Cyprin stuff. Solution to that, of course, being just have more shots in the air. If you just throw enough shit at the wall, some of it might as well stick. Now these places taking out the factories, unsurprisingly, and now moving over to the water, starting to take out a whole bunch of these frigates. Which is, well, it's basically what the reason you go for Hover. It's easy, it's spammable, and it's really effective against especially higher tier attack. You can see all the damage that these destroyers are taking, and with Salem's only having one gun, that is, well, it is somewhat, it has a mediocre rate of fire, or with some higher alpha damage. But also it's just not enough to deal with large amounts of hover spam. Which, as I already pointed out, would be exactly why you would want, why you'd probably want some Seraphim destroyers. Because those have, because beam weapons, as I already said, just better at dealing with spam. Now, tactical missile launches out here from, not from Bark, from Madman the Enjoyer. Those did not get any mass killed yet. And there are some sirens out from Icon. The sirens, these siren cruisers, being a bit more effective, or being somewhat effective against spam because they have a higher rate of fire. And also those AA cannons right here that can be utilized against ground targets, which have a blistering rate of fire due to being, well, AA guns. Meaning that when dealing with enemy hover, you usually don't want to go with the normal, with the destroyer as Cybran, but instead the cruiser. Now the Cybran HQ for front corner did go down, as well as a whole bunch of factories, but we do have some Spectres out from McNeil that are currently defending. On note, I didn't pay too much attention to development of T3 Air. Well, currently 2 T3 Air factories out for McNeil. Also looking up here, currently only one out from To the Moon. Now let's look at economies. Well, To the Moon definitely pulling in a lot more than their opponent. Something like 50 mass, well 40, okay, a whole bunch of fluctuation, I have no clue where it's coming from again. Since to my knowledge it doesn't actually show reclaim, something that I learned somewhat recently. Reclaim isn't calculated into these numbers, I have no clue where those fluctuations come from. I could probably just Google that and maybe there would be a answer to that, but well, I don't know, too lazy. If you do know the answer to that, maybe just leave it down in the comments. Maybe I'm also completely mistaken and the thing that didn't take Reclaim into account is completely wrong and does take it into account. I don't mind being proven wrong. It's always a chance to learn. Now these places just completely getting wrecked by all those Spectres. Easy solution for Bulk would be to start building some flak Aeon having the ability to build hover flag. The only other faction that can do that being Seraphim. And that is generally really, really good at dealing with both top bombers and gunships. Even T3 gunships. As you can just completely spam that stuff out. And one problem that you can run into is that the flag can sometimes struggle with tracking, especially the Aeon one due to not being mounted on a turret. Meaning that the entire unit has to turn. But sometimes the slow shell velocity can also make tracking a bit harder on the mobile flag. Though it is very effective against gunships which are moving quite a bit slower. Since hover is proving so effective on the other side, I guess the attempt to go for some reptiles out from vitamin D enjoy. I always want to say vitamin because, well, in German it's just how we pronounce that. Or closer to how we pronounce that in German. And it's one of those words that I don't say that often in English, so I'm not used to the English pronunciation. But, well, not too important. Now slight naval push out. Funny enough, a lot of submarines which are completely worthless against hover. As the name might suggest, hover does, well, it hovers, as you can see. It does not touch the water, meaning that it cannot be hit by torpedoes. And while it does, it can't, and while it doesn't have any underground or underwater weapons, it and thus can't engage these submarines. It also can't be engaged by submarines, as once again, it's not touching the water, meaning that it can't be hit by torpedoes. Also making the Cyprian amphibious tank, the Wagner, basically useless when used as a naval tank on the water against other naval tanks, since the Wagner is the only naval tank that is submerged on the bottom of the ocean, meaning that it can't do anything. Though, in the same way, the places and hover tanks also can't do anything against it, so that goes both ways. But these places just breaking through, completely wrecking those tridents with the high numbers. Generally, a solution to this situation is either your own hover spam, or if you are Cyprian, like Knergy in this case, frigates. A lot of frigates and some cruisers, since, as I already pointed out, the higher rate of fire on the cruiser is generally more effective in dealing with the hover spam. What you want with when dealing with hover spam is everything that has a high rate of fire and quick retargeting that is easily spammable, which boils down to for naval units, frigates, and for the Cyprian cruisers, for the Seraphim, the destroyers. For the UEF, well, bad luck. Except for frigates. And I guess battlecruisers on T3. And yeah, Aeon really just needs to use their frigates or just go for their own hover. Though Aeon frigates are especially good against hover since they have a really good rate of fire. But on note of hover, I think, yeah, there are actually some Aeon out that could be utilized, but that are just utilized on this land to defend, I guess. I'd say that's probably a waste right now, since there is no sign of aggression in form of land invasion coming out from Bapalu. While there is some aggression with the Salems. Which, okay, to be fair, against that I understand going for just pushing in some of those hover units. The Suis could also just push in and good at Destroyer. That's not that amazing. Now, hover flag and also some hover shields started up for Bark and already at the front line. Nice thing for the Aeon, of course, being that the Asylum, their T2 hover shield, or T2 mobile shield, is hover. Meaning that can also be used to support your hoverland unit, your hover units when going onto the Navy. Though the mobile shield for the Seraphim is also hover. And at tier 3 it provides a lot more HP, so overall it's probably better. Bunch of Wolfus coming in from front collar to help defend, but once again there is no flag up. And here you can see the Ascendants having the turn since they don't have any actual turret. But they do get their shots into these Wolfus, just completely shredding them. So doing their job. Now McNeil and Norchi actually managed to retake the middle island by the looks of it, and pushing back. One reason might be that McNeil has some T3. And that must have been airdropped in, as I don't see any T3 production on that island itself. Yeah, there's T3 factory that's building some hobbies right here. Now, some mine skirmishing going on this naval side between some Valiants or some destroyers and some frigates out from Icon. Vitamin D and Joel currently by looks of it just winning this, as there is no T2 Navy opposing them, or of their own. Never mind, there are some destroyers right here that are just not in range to do anything. They should definitely push those, move those in so that they can start firing onto these, onto the destroyers out from Vitamin D and Joel. Another thing we see are the Governor class missile cruisers, which are pretty good at just taking out Navy at long range if it's stationary due to, well, firing a lot of missiles. And currently there are no cruisers out from Icon that could defend. Meaning that that does work out quite well. Missiles just landing and doing massive amounts of damage. Which, funny enough, would be another reason to go for some Seraphim T2 as well, because the Seraphim cruisers also get missiles, meaning that you basically have the same capabilities. Though I think the the cruiser missiles for the UEF have the same trait as the ones you fire from the tactical missile launchers. That you need 2 shots from TMD to shoot them down. Could be mistaken there, but I think that applies to them as well. That naval missiles generally have the special trait from that faction's tactical missile. Well, if the faction actually has a special trait to the missile. I don't think Seraphim does. Seraphim might have some special arcing characteristics, but not even sure on that. The Aeon having the Aeon missile doing the corkscrew to basically evade, though that's no longer that much of a thing since TMD has become a lot more accurate a while back with one of the balance patches. And the Cypern splitting into multiple missiles, though that's not important because Cypern doesn't get naval missiles. Well, they do get them on their tactical, not on their tactical, on their strategic missile submarine, but you don't see that utilized that often to be worth mentioning, pointing out. Now, what we do see is actually some destroyers out from front column, the exact thing that I wanted to see, due to those beam weapons being more effective in dealing with hover. Though, well, with the amount of hover that they are facing, it's not too much more effective, to be completely fair. So, well, the hover does get taken out, but it still does inflict quite a few casualties. That sounds like an explosion, I just don't know where that happened. Yeah, those are some big explosions. I think it might just be also the sound, this deep growling sound might just be something due to me being zoned out this far. Though I've never heard that before. Maybe I'm also just imagining shit, but yeah, the explosions is the factories for Papalo just going down to the Harbingers and Mantis out from the southern team that are now just pushing over the island again, taking out all those factories, and basically allowing the southern team to take all these maxes, these juicy maxes. No, that mid-island was denied for quite some time, and Team 1 is quite far ahead on Nico. Actually, Quantum Gateway out for To the Moon. Will be interesting to see what will be done with that, as Seraphim Cycles don't prove as useful as the cycles of the other factions too, since you don't get res, but I remember those usually having only, or cycles usually only having one mass income. So I suspect that maybe the resource production of Seraphim's Echo, that the resource production of the base Seraphim's Echo might have been buffed to balance out the fact that they don't get res, maybe, to make them a bit more attractive. Which is quite cool to see. Maybe they've also just had, they also always just had the 3 mass income, but I doubt it. That sounds like a weird number, and I'm pretty sure I've seen those just having 1 income in older versions, so slight change that doesn't affect the game too much, but basically does balance out one of the weaknesses and major drawbacks of one of the factions a little bit. Why not completely taking it away? Now, Norachi is sending out T1 bombers trying to deal with all this hover, but the flag just completely wrecking that, as it usually does against T1 bombers. Since flag just completely rinses everything that's slow moving, so T1 bombers and gunships, especially T2 gunships. T3 gunships tend to get the health to survive that stuff a little bit better, but T2 gunships, as you can see, just get completely annihilated if you have large amounts of flag. And once again, a whole bunch of destroyers and stuff taking a lot of damage or a lot of fire from these, just through the sheer amount of hover. Mark just going for the brute force strategy of just shitting out so many units that's basically impossible to counter. Even having these factories at T3 to get that additional build power and produce that stuff even faster. I think that the thing of the Nomads faction with the T3 hover tank would be interesting in a situation like this. As with the base game factions, none of the factions do get any T3 hover units. And though the main battle units for all factions with the exception of Aeon are capable of moving underwater. And the absorbers are hover for the Aeon, though that's only effective when dealing with shielded stuff, as absorbers deal basically no damage against regular units. No, stuff does slow down. A experimental finishes for to the moon. It's a Warsaw. And it's already targeted onto this navy down here. Fair enough. A few Warsaw bombs will probably just, well, don't see too much ace, so those will most likely just completely wreck that. Never mind the tones. And it goes back in, okay. Just maneuvering a bit. Some bricks probably, yeah, I think those bricks just walked through the water. I just pointed out that the main battle units for most factions have the ability to walk through the water. The brick also getting some really bad torpedoes, though those simply the ability to walk through the water for those is neat enough, since that means that you can just walk up and cause some devastation. As you can see right here, those are both wetted 2 times, which means that they definitely did their job. Let's see. Okay, that brick just about did not survive. 9k HP is quite a bit. And I think that one will wet at least once again. Probably putting it up to close to 10k. Yep, 9.7. And that brick definitely paying for itself. Completely missed the first drop of the Vasa apparently, because I was paying attention to those bricks, which are completely inconsequential, but oh well. Second drop of the Vasa takes out some flak. And since those units were all low HP, they all died in the initial damage burst of the bomb. The way the Vasa bomb works is that it has a initial damage burst when the bomb drops, and another one when you see that animation exploding. That neat explosion animation. Meaning that you get 2 damage rolls. Or 2 damage waves. Something that you actually see with a lot of the big Seraphim explosions. I know that you definitely have that with the normal Seraphim nuke and the Yolona Oss. Of course with your Vasa. Might also be with the Strat Bomber, but not too sure on that. Right here, you could see those frigates survived the initial drop and died a bit later. God, brick with over 10k HP. That's just cursed. And those bricks apparently just ground fall for some reason. I don't know what the ground at that spot did wrong, but it must have been a really grave offense, since, well, yeah, that seemed a bit overkill. But in response, Vitamin D Enjoyer is just throwing up some Ravagers, which will make short work of these bricks. While very expensive, they also just have a lot of DPS, as you can see. Now, big cover push going on here. Once again, Tier 3 Navy has actually been finished up by front color. Losing that will be quite painful. Let's see, is there any other Tier 3 Navy? Knorri has Tier 3 Navy on both Seraphim and Cybron. There is Tier 3 Seraphim Navy out from Icon, and currently still Tier 2 on Cybron for them. I think there is Tier 3 Navy, yes, there is Tier 3 Navy out for Vitamin D Enjoyer. I think I saw some battles earlier, yep, there it is. And there is Tier 3 Navy out for Front Color, who is currently also building a battleship. Fun fact, when dealing with hover battleships are completely worthless, as they are too slow firing to actually deal with the hover effectively. Well, they aren't completely worthless, but they are generally not worth it. Now, Knorri building their own Wagners to try and mitigate the situation. And also apparently some places, I guess they were given some tech by McNeil. Or maybe just give it over some units. But as already pointed out, those Wagners won't do anything against those places, as since both units cannot engage each other. due to the way that they are implemented. One being at the bottom of the ocean with torpedoes to deal with Navy, and the other being hovering over the top of the water, meaning that can't be hit by torpedoes with just a normal cannon. So, not too sure what the plan is with just screening that stuff. Maybe it's to deal with the supporting Navy that already died completely out. Maybe it's to help ones that should make landfall. What I can point out is that a GC has been built up by McNeil. It is moving a bit north currently. A Monkey Lord as a counter has been built up by Papaldo, which is, by the looks of it, trying to make a landfall right here. And even though this does look like a cliff edge, well, because it's probably... Well, Hover can path over that because it's close enough to the waterline, but I don't think that you can actually path over that with anything that's walking across the bottom of the ocean, to be honest. Could be mistaken on that though. We'll probably forget to pay attention to that when it becomes relevant, so... Well, we will not see that. Now, places continuing their push, and some of them 3 ranks of veterancy, I think one at 4 ranks of veterancy, this one has 5. So, I mean, places being dirt cheap, being just a T2 hover unit. If we just for a moment look at the cost of a blaze, we're looking at 180 mass. That's basically nothing. Again, that's just dirt cheap. And the GC has been noticed and has been picked out by Bark as a potential threat. Well, maybe let's just take a look at what we're looking at for destroyers. Destroyers are 2,250 mass in comparison to those places. For the Cyber Winter Cruiser with only 2,000 mass, actually cheaper. But yeah, we're looking at around the price of a frigate. Interestingly enough, the submarines also just following these places along. I'm really not sure what the plan is to achieve with that, since once again you can't hit anything with that. And I'm not even sure if Yavsos even have deck cannons. I know that all the T1 subs have, but I'm not sure if the sub hunters get them. And I mean, if they don't, then those are really just completely pointless. Some Sakus did make it down here into the main base of Knorachi apparently. Those do have teleporter, and I think that's a rapid fabricator. So I guess that those were the Sakus that To the Moon built up earlier. And with rapid fabricator they are able to just quickly build up any kind of PD, having 98 build power. And I mean, tally means that I can just tally in, but that shield gives them 20k additional HP, in addition to their 15.5k base HP. So these Zaku's just being really, really insane. Now, response out from McNeil is to drop in a whole bunch of hobbies. But PD is already thrown up, and once again those Zaku's are super tanky. Some PD going down, but... well, we have to see how effective it actually is. Okay, the PD can't actually fire around the cliff, or around this hill. But neither can those Harbies. Shield up from those Zaku's to get some stuff, to get a bit of additional survivability. Harpies do move in, but they take a shit ton of damage, so they will probably not do too well. Shield on one of the Zaku's is down, and it is taking quite a bit of damage, but it manages to survive, and the shield is now regening. But a lot of damage already done here. I think that was a bunch of factories, T3 power, all going down. Even this T3 HQ is under threat from this PD. We will have to see how effective that is. Though there is a battleship on the shoreline, which is however under fire from the blazes. And just dying due to that, as there's currently nothing to really stop these blazes since all the naval production did go down. And those Wagners, as I already pointed out like 5 times already, cannot do anything. Not looking too great. The Palu built another experimental, it's another Monkey Lord. The first one... I guess died and just got reclaimed. Park saying win Navy without building Navy. Fair enough. They did not build any regular Navy, so I guess that is a valid statement. T3 HQ now going down for Narachi. However, let's see, how's the economy looking? Just around 150. So I guess they could technically afford some T3 Navy, but they don't have too much income left after losing that main base. And they seem to be reliant on the power overflow of their teammates. But since they lost all but their T1 power, that's not too surprising, and they are still building ASF out of this T3 factory. Saku's just chilling and reclaiming. So instead of just killing off that mess and denying that base for a while, To the Moon also utilizing this to get some eco of their own, and now building up some T1 PD, which is slowly taking out these T3 air factories. But the Wagners are now moving to the land, where they can be a lot more useful in just taking out all the stuff that To the Moon has put up to shenanigans up here. And looking at their main base, I nearly missed something. They have a Yolona Oss 55% done, the experimental nuke launcher of the Seraphim game ender. I guess the reclaim from the space was quite useful for that, but the escapades of the Sakus are coming to an end due to those Wagners moving in and just firing onto those. Shield on, this Saku goes down. This one actually fully regenerated its shield. But those Sakus also still have a lot of health on their main hull, so not too much to worry about. More T1 BD being thrown up to just take out all these Wagners. And a lot of Wagners are dying to this. But this Saku taking a lot of fire might actually die. Well, okay, it's at around 1.4k. Right, those Wagners did retarget, so I think it might survive. Yeah, now fire's going into the Saku, which still has the full shield. So not too much. Now, Bark did apparently notice what To the Moon is doing and started to send some mass over, fair enough. There was apparently another monkey that pushed through here that I missed again, but there is once again another monkey that is also quite healthy, now being tried to kill with some strand bombers out from front collar. And these GCs, one of them very badly damaged. But I don't think that Monkey seems to be moving into the water. Quite bold, as right now there are a whole bunch of yak cells, which are being slowly killed off by all these torp bombers. Good solution to that would just to be to move them up to the surface, as yak cells have some amazing A, though they just can't use that while submerged. And yes, they did actually surface now, and you can just see them firing down and dealing quite a bit of damage there. Yeah, so AA is quite good. Now, Monkey made it into the water, just about surviving. I guess that was that Yavsor damage. Now, one problem of course with Yavsors, when they aren't submerged, they can be targeted by normal ground stuff. On the other hand, Assailants as destroyers are quite good in dealing with sub-hunters. Not this amount of sub-hunters, but in general, destroyers beat sub-hunters quite well. Mass for mass, if I remember correctly. And sub-hunters beat submarines. In the end, Navy is just a big rock, paper, scissors game, just with the major difference being that if you just throw enough rocks at a piece of paper, it starts to break and you win. Since, as always, brute force is of course the best of answers. As you can also just see with all of these, all of the summer spam. Best answer doesn't mean that it's also with best answer. I don't mean that's actually, like, meta-wise the best way to solve anything. But it's definitely the funniest. Now, our tower spell moving in. I guess going after the next naval HQ, this one at T3. Once again, though, that will probably also go down once again. Ultimate power already dying. And she's soaking up the damage from those destroyers. How's that YOLO looking? It's done. And those cycles did survive and tallied back into the main base of To the Moon. Now let's look for SMD. There is one SMD that's loaded twice for Icon. There is no SMD here, though to be fair there isn't much left of that base anyway. There is an SMD here that's loaded thrice. One here that's loaded twice. So all players have an SMD in their main base. Well, with the exception of Knorachi, though I'm not sure if we can even still speak of a main base there. Odd note of that, I was about to say that the YOLO is pre-targeted onto this area, killing off what remains, and also, quite importantly, all this reclaim. Meaning that there's no ability for Knorachi to actually get any of that mass back. Now, normal nuke launch also started for Bapalu. I mean, probably a bit late considering the fact that there is a YOLO on the field now. The YOLO loading really fast. I think you need 5 SMDs if the YOLO is not assisted to deal with that, with the other special quality trick of it being that you need 2 SMD missiles to shoot it down. Though, unlike normal nukes, you don't have any ability to store missiles in the silo. You have you load 1 missile and you fire that. And if you don't fire that, well, you're basically wasting the all the bit power of the YOLO. Now, first new clans takes out Land HQ and all of that. In this massive explosion. Second one, I think, yep, it's going for the base of Icon. And that YOLO killed 16k mass, so not too bad. Plus, of course, all that reclaim. Another thing to point out about the YOLO, something that I mentioned a bit earlier, is again, as like you have with many of the Seraphim explosions, you have a delayed damage. You get your initial damage when the nuke impacts on a small ring, and then you get your big damage roll of 1k, I think. Once the after a while with that massive wormhole. Also, really unfortunate The first missile that was fired by this SMD did miss the YOLO missile, and did not actually manage to catch up to that, meaning that even a third one had to be fired, unloading all of the SMD missiles in that silo to deal just with one of them. A second missile. Oh wait, no, the next missile is good up for that. The coming one is going... I think that might going for this base, might also just going for the island. Not too sure. And... yeah, that's going for the island. See that massive over-the-top thing, which, funny enough, is completely flat. That massive damage ring that is slowly expanding outwards. And just took out the entire area.
Strategic launch detected.
Now, Icon actually is slowly winning this, here on the Navy, pushing forward. Utilizing the high range on the Yafsaus. Mass for mass, the Yafsau is probably the worst sub if you just go for damage, but it does have some amazing range, meaning that it's really, really effective in dealing with anything if macroed properly, as you can just take out everything from the range. Now, I think you already pointed out that next nuke was queued up for this area. There is currently no SMD loaded here. Of course, all 3 missiles were used to shoot down the first missile. That does impact. And the expanding damage ring comes in and takes out a whole bunch of stuff. How much mass did the YOLO kill already? 89k mass. The YOLO, being the cheapest game ender, is also quite close to the rank of Edge with that. And though while the YOLO is the cheapest game ender, you have to it's important to note, being a missile launcher, you still have to build a missile every time, costing you mass, and it's also really, really power intensive to run that thing. Though as an air player, I don't think that will be too much of a worry for to the moon. Next missile used as a PD nuke. But units for Icon seems to have moved out quite well, meaning that there isn't too much damage actually done with that. And we actually do see quite a few nuke subs out for Vitamin D Enjoyer, which however do just get completely wrecked by those Yafsaus. Now on this side, who would have guessed, more Hubble. Monkey going down here apparently. Against the chicken this time. So the walkthrough of T4s on this side is never ending. We also see another monkey already on the way. I'm sorry that I consequently just missed that ship because I'm paying attention to everything but the land pushes that are coming from that area. But the chicken will probably just kill the Monkey Lord as a chicken usually does. The problem here being that the chicken is a lot tankier than the Monkey Lord and has a much higher range. So even though the chicken has a lot higher DPS, and not the chicken, the Monkey Lord has a lot more DPS with that beam, it just can't get that damage in, and the chicken pulls in too much damage too early on, meaning that's really not that great. Now, with the situation going from bad to worse, right now Karachi going for a teleporter upgrade. I guess we will see a Mesa Snipe very soon. One attempted Mesa Snipe. There was some tele-defense started around the Yolona Oss, but only 2 PD, that's not enough to kill an ACU. So that is definitely a target. But on that note, do they even know where the YOLO is? Yes, they do. So that's definitely a possibility. Problem with that being, if you go for the YOLO, you will die as the YOLO is highly volatile. Yes, it is volatile. I did not remember that wrong. Now, next nuke lands on the base of Icon, taking out the naval production and also the SMD. Not that that would have been too important, as once again, you need a lot of SMD to counter a YOLO. Zaku's trying to tally again into the backline of McNeil, but there is a GC already in place, defending, taking out one of them. The other one tallied back, I think. Yeah, here it is. The Norman nuke, I think. Yep, that's the Cypher nuke. That was built up by Bepalo, just took out the base of Front Color. And the eco will probably have just collapsed for Team 2 with all of that stuff. Also just mass strat bombers now out from Bepalo, which are going after the ACU of McNeil, who has normal sheet on that commander, but that already has failed, and there are a whole bunch of more strats coming in. And that commander goes down in a cloud of white. My poor eyes. It's getting a bit late, and I usually prefer dark, and I don't like complete white backgrounds, stuff like that, so that's just painful to look at. But to be fair, explosions should be painful to look at. But Front Color experiencing the same fate from the same strat snipe. So 2 players for the southern team going down. And we're now looking at 284 mass income against 1.8k. That's not too great. Icon just deciding, nope, not worth it, Control K. Another YOLO coming in. Okay, this one taking out the Sprigs. But I can definitely see why. Narachi definitely getting a whole bunch of eco from that, and the necessary power to probably tally. Yep. But no ability to actually spend their mass income right now. Back up to 653, so maybe some power locking or something like that. Nuke going for the area where the ACU is, but that is spot tally out, going up here right on the cliff. And the interesting thing with that is that the Raptors can't really target there, and the ACU can still just fire down there because that laser beam has an amazing depression, if you look at that. So it was actually able to take out Bark, who, to be fair, played a blind of a game throughout all of this, with just all of this ridiculous amount of cover. But that Zaku already tallying out, going for the next target right here. But honestly, probably not too effective. There is some defense in this area. Actually all of it just T1, so that ACU can still do a lot of damage. Or could go after the YOLO, which is currently targeted onto the position of the ACU, I think. Yep. But that tallies out pretty safely. Starts firing onto the aggregate. And is moving in, I guess, to just suicide and give up because, well, there's a lot of T1 PD. Funny enough, if Knorchi had gone for a gun upgrade instead of T3, they could probably have just taken out all that PD from a safe distance. But yeah, I mean, looking at the situation, I don't think they could have won this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this cast. This was streamed live on Twitch. If you link to that will be, as always, in the description. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, or don't. There will be more casts like these coming out. As you might have noticed, I recently changed my schedule from Wednesday, Friday, Sunday to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Maybe there's, but honestly, not sure if I'm gonna stick with that. I really can't make commitments about stuff like that, so there might still be some casts on Sundays instead of Mondays. But, well, we'll have to see. Yeah, but yeah, more casts will be coming out. Subscribe if you want to be notified when those do come out. Leave feedback in the comments if you have something to say about this cast, or replays, some comments, some things you noticed that I completely missed. And yeah, hope you enjoyed, hope to see you again on a future cast or stream, and till then, bye!